Some of the success that we've been able to achieve around criminal justice reform would not have happened in recent years were it not for Black Lives Matter. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not.
Yeah, we've been fairly warned. You know, if inciting violence, as VP Harris just did, is grounds for impeaching President Donald J. Trump, who didn't incite violence, why isn't it grounds for impeaching Harris, who did? Well, it's because of people like this. Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Pat Toomey, and the rest, eager to institutionalize a double standard. Unconstitutional and unfair rules that are placed on Republicans, with those same rules never, ever being applied to Democrat socialists. No wonder the Patriot Party, a party that promotes itself as an actual opposition party to the socialist supremacists and the communist cult, that is the Democrat Party, is garnering more appeal every day. Unfairness, it's simply un-American, and more Americans are waking up to take a stand against that unfairness. Thank God. Now, let's get to your top stories. Biden slashing more American jobs. He is now the job killer in chief, only a week in. Cancel culture in the meantime, it's a toxic trend that America cannot afford. And undoing patriotic education. That is the goal of those who now control the White House. We start out tonight with the SHAM impeachment. 45 Republicans agreeing with Senator Rand Paul. An impeachment trial for Donald Trump, who is now a private citizen, violates the Constitution.
Unity is the opposite of this travesty we are about to witness. If we are about to try to impeach a president, where is the Chief Justice? If the accused is no longer president, where is the constitutional power to impeach him? Private citizens don't get impeached. Impeachment is for removal from office. And the accused here has already left office.
Well, private citizens didn't used to get impeached. Now that the socialists run things, folks, we private citizens are in trouble. We could all be impeached from our Senate. Isn't that wonderful? Joining me now to discuss former Trump aide and Bob Mueller witness and author of Wicked Game, Rick Gates. Mr. Gates, great to see you. Not only are Democrats saying we can impeach any president of the opposite party to derail his or her agenda, now they seem to be firing a warning shot at any non-politician who would dare run in the future. They'll bastardize the Constitution and use totalitarian government tactics to punish you even after you leave office. To me, this is chilling.
Yeah, Chris, it's great to be with you. Absolutely, with no shadow of doubt, what Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are doing are they're weaponizing the Constitution. And unfortunately, history will show that this is a bad maneuver on their part. And without a doubt, it's a sham trial. Everybody knew the president was going to be out of office. Why they're proceeding with this political theater and not focusing on what the needs of the American people are, continues just to baffle me time and time again. They had an opportunity. The Democrats had a great opportunity to go back and try to create some sort of unity on the back of what Joe Biden had been preaching, for many months. And they refused to do it. And they decided to go after Donald Trump, who they have viewed as somebody that should have never been president. And so to your point, what we're doing is we are now basically placing the decision-making authority of who should be president or vice president in the hands of a very select few. That's how they want to operate. And I got to be honest with you, if conservatives don't wake up, they're going to continue doing this. Historically, conservatives had a difficult time really matching the communication structure and other mechanisms that the Democrats have. We've got to do a better job of fighting against this type of activity.
Yeah, I want to pick up on what you said, this idea that Biden is out there preaching unity while the Democrat socialists are actually doing exactly the opposite. And frankly, Biden's own administration isn't doing unifying things. The impeachment, they seem to be tacitly approving of that, not to mention what's going on down at the border. People like me, your liberty-loving Latino, and our friends who are conservative, who are black, they're being targeted by the left. And we talked about Andy Ngo. He's an Asian gay journalist who is now forced to flee the United States of America because of Antifa's violence, and there is no call from the Biden administration to crack down on violence against conservatives who happen to be of color, who happen to be minorities, even today. Susan Rice coming out, or yesterday, coming out and saying, you should not have any threatening xenophobia against Asian people, but it doesn't apply to Andy Ngo because he's a conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're going to see is this continued line of rhetoric by Susan Rice, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all the other Democrats, that they don't really believe what they say. And this is the problem with politicians in general, right? This is exactly why Donald Trump was successfully elected in 2016, because he cut through all this minutia, this misdirection of words that, typical politicians use. So all these words, they mean nothing. And to your point, that's, we've seen time and time again, protest, riot by Democratic left-leaning groups, and Democrats say nothing. They're silent. I mean, I think that's that tape that you showed of Kamala Harris, one of my favorites. I mean, there is no question what she's doing. She is inciting people. She's not only inciting, she's making a statement of fact that those people are going to continue to, conduct, illegal activity, and she's okay with it. And that is what we've got to get away from. Talking about unity.
Let's be bipartisan about this. Mitt Romney's okay with it too. Pat Toomey's okay with it too. Susan Collins is okay with it too. I mean, let's be bipartisan because they are accepting the double standard. There they are. Ben Sasse is okay as long as Democrats are calling for violence. It's cool, baby. We don't impeach Democrats. We don't hold them the same standards we hold Republicans to. Last thing, I only got about a minute here, but I wanted to get you to comment. Biden laughingly, back in October, he said, hey, I'm paraphrasing, it's an ABC interview. He said, hey, if you're having to do executive orders, you're kind of a dictator. And this cat just issued, and not even with 3 weeks, just issued 21 executive orders, far outpacing any other past president. What is your take on this? Just, again, more hypocrisy?
Oh, absolutely. He's going to continue to govern by executive order because he knows he doesn't have the votes in Congress to get a lot of the signature policies that he wants through. The problem is executive orders, as we've seen, recently with President Trump, they can be rescinded, pretty quickly. I mean, the real power and the real policy is still determined, by Congress to a large extent. The president certainly has the power of executive order to do certain things, but every 4 years that is going to turn over. So I think, the real power and the real policy is still determined, by Congress to a large extent. The president certainly has the power of executive order to do certain things, but every 4 years that is going to turn over. So I think, people need to be very cautious about what Joe Biden is doing with executive orders because he's certainly decimating the economy, and I think will continue to do so. That's the type of activity that we've got to stop.
Mr. Gates, I appreciate your time here on the Chris Salcedo Show. We'll talk again. Got a lot more in store.
Newsmax TV is now America's fastest growing cable news channel. We give you the real news you need. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you like this video, share it with your friends. Newsmax TV streams live on YouTube for free. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.